how do I know this? Boom. This is from August 12th, like 3 days ago. Washington Post glamorizes women who quit their job to become the spicy workers. Is this who you're telling us we need to work hard for and push all our chips into the center of the table for? Is women that have let strangers run pipe in them for years? And you expect a guy to want that? Look, here's the thing. If you really want a strong, independent man that's emotionally connected and willing to step up and support a family and be all in, okay, that guy's going to be strong. He's going to be hard-willed. He's going to be independent. He's going to know what he wants. He's going to have a level of expectations from the woman he eventually decides to pair up with and marry and have kids with and whatever. Do you think he wants to walk into a party, maybe it is his 10-year work anniversary, he walks into a party or a function, and his coworkers are leaning over talking to each other about how they saw dudes blasting into your wife? Of course not. Do you know how embarrassing that is for a man? So it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Women, until they change how they present themselves, what the work that they do to earn their money, the fact that they're putting out there trying to say, oh, spicy work is real work. No, men are not going to commit. Hound Daddy Lee sent 10. Thank you, sir. Smart American men are going to Colombia. Plenty of attractive women who are feminine and not feminazis. I don't know. Maybe. But I can tell you that as I traveled the world, the less Western the country was, the better the opportunities were for dating. At the time when I was in Ukraine was good for dating. Poland was amazing for dating because women are still relatively conservative there. Now, again, the ones that I met, it doesn't mean that they all are, because obviously you can't say all about anything. Thai women, the Philippine women, Malaysian women, Peruvian women, all these different areas were much more like less about what do you do for money and where did you go to school, and it was what kind of life have you lived? Are you a good person? Are you interesting? Do you have something to offer? And yeah, they still wanted to know if you'd be like a good man. And that part of that being a good man is being a provider and everything else. That's still part of the equation. But it wasn't, oh, you're not Johnny Sixpack and 6 feet tall and hung like a horse. I'm out. And that's what women have become now. Well, they do this when they're young and then expect men to be like, oh, okay, I want you after everybody else has had you. They say, why is this different than any other client work? She wrote. The answer I come to again and again is that it isn't. If women are going to view laying down in a bed and having rando dudes run through you for years as the same as an office job being a secretary, we're never going to come to a meeting of minds. And all these single men are going to view you as as an object, because what you've said is you can have my most precious, wonderful, meaningful part of my body. You can have that, fellas, for just $5 on OF or a $10 donation on Twitch or $200 or $300, and you can go all the way after a date. You've turned yourself into a commodity. Men buy commodities. They don't marry them. They don't date them. They don't have kids with them. This just blows me away. Let me make sure I keep up on these. Let's see. Brazos32 says, thank you for the 10. Keep pointing out this gaslighting crap from the establishment. The goal is to solely eliminate traditional masculinity in this postmodern feminism. Stay strong, guys. Yes, they're trying to shame you and saying, how dare you not want women like this?
How dare you?
How dare you? It's no different than any other job. Well, it is to men. It is. And it's not you that's the crazy one. When if you go back to, and this is kind of off topic a little bit, but if you look in nature, right, you'll see rams butting heads, and whichever one wins, he gets the harem. He's the strongest. He's the best. If you watch lions, who's the old man lion or the silverback gorilla? Maybe I'm getting some of these wrong, but the overall trope is that the male that's the strongest and the biggest and the most protective has the best genes. and he's going to get to procreate with all the ladies, right? But there's two things that people don't realize. Number one, why do they fight? They fight because that male wants no other male to have access to the females. They're his. That's how men think. And number two, the way they keep the genetic lines in many of the animal kingdoms diverse is the females, even though there's a dominant male that may run over the pride or the herd or the group or whatever, the females still will sneak off and sometimes go sleep and get pregnant and have offspring from those quote unquote losers that are on the outside. And this is true in the ape kingdom and other things. So there's something that's hardwired biological in men to want to protect and have kind of an ownership of their women and keep other men away. And there's something kind of hardwired in women to say, he's great, he's wonderful, but this is different over here. I want to go check it out. I'm curious. This is a long stretch. I mean, this is a long stretch. But if you look at the way society is happening right now, you see it. Women are like, hey, you don't get to control us. You don't get to be the leader of our whatever. You don't have access to me. I can do whatever I want. And what do? They still want that guy, but they also want everything else. And they don't understand that that male is saying, no, 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 I don't want you if you let everybody else have you. But they cannot get this through their head. And no matter how much they push and no matter how much they try to convince you, the only people that are falling for this are weak-minded loser dudes who just feel lucky to have a woman. And yeah, I mean, she kicked me out of the house and her quote bull. This guy came over, her ex-boyfriend, and plowed her, and then he went on his way. But she let me cook her spaghetti for dinner afterwards and told me I was still better. Like, dude, that just makes the hair on men's back of their necks, if they have any, stand up. You're such a loser, cringy. And women don't want that guy. They want the strong man. Well, the strong man's not going to be fooled by this crap. He's not going to put up with this. This Olivia Randau from the Post Millennial. She says a controversial story about a woman who left corporate life behind because she felt like she had to whitewash her intersectional identity to pursue a career in the spice work industry has left many Washington Post readers puzzled on the message the article promotes. A buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. That's what this woman was promoting. The piece titled, She Listed Spicy Work on LinkedIn. Here's What Happened Next by writer Letitia Beecham, published in the social issues section of the news outlet website, followed the transition of Ariel Egozi, 31, from brand director to worker of the evening, and the virality of her career change announcement on LinkedIn. In her announcement, Egozi, who identifies as blah blah LGHDHDTV and uses these pronouns, don't care. I left an in-house job with fancy benefits 2 weeks ago, and the reason I could do that was to become a lady of the evening. I had just enough saved from selling and engaging my image that I could ask myself if I was happy. I wasn't, she continued. Yeah, the few grand I'd stashed up over time helped, but the biggest reason I could walk away was because the spicy work shows me what my power is, or excuse me, shows me what my power can do when I own it. Now, my mom didn't want to work as a secretary all her life. Yes, she went to college. Yes, she was educated. She was a secretarial assistant. She was a dental assistant at one point in time when us kids were getting a little bit older and she was bored and didn't need to, we could do our own laundry and clean our own bedrooms. And when I say clean our own bedrooms, stuff everything under the bed and then tell her it was clean so we could go hang out with friends. There was a point in time where she got bored and she said, hey, I'm going to go get a job. But in a normal society, a woman might work for a few years, square away her own little nest egg or whatever, and say, you know what, I'm bored of work. This isn't right for me. And what would they do? They'd become a mom. They'd raise a family. They'd get married. They'd do something along this lines. But now, because that's been shamed so much, God forbid you want to become a mom and have a family. So instead of that, what do? They say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to become an adult worker, a spicy worker. Um, A Cake 728 says, I like to think Better Bachelor live streams as Better Bachelor Happy Hour, BBHH, which sounds much better than BBW. Yeah, that's true. And Jerry says, I just want to point out that Poland is very good for dating for foreigners only. If a Polish girl hears you speaking in language different than Polish, you will score. For us Polish guys, it's completely a different story. We stand no chance, especially in big cities like Krakow or Warsaw, where there are a lot of tourists. Okay, two things there. Number one, yes, of course. We know how that goes. They for some reason, they glamorize foreigners. Number one, learn to speak English without. Sorry, I got bit by mosquitoes on my land the other day, and I have to scratch my leg here. Number one, learn to speak English without an accent. It doesn't mean you'll necessarily find the woman of your dreams, but you'll certainly get more dates. Just tell them you're from Kentucky. Let's see. I think that's caught up on that. Okay, so so instead of saving up money and becoming a mom, what does she do? She decides to become a spice worker. And here's the thing: at 31, she only had a couple of grand saved up. Guys, this is why I'm telling you that if you get straight out of college and you get into a trade like whether it's welding or electrician or whatever, or even if you go to college and become a civil engineer, instead of spending money on these women, spend money on yourself. Put it in for retirement. Put it in for long term. Buy a house, buy land, buy things that are tangible. And one of the reasons, and not to sidetrack about me again, one of the reasons why I pushed so hard and I bought land and I'm buying a house and I'm going to have a well and solar and some land is because electricity, whether the grid goes down or not, water, whether the grid goes down or not, septic tank, grid, no problem. Septic's taken care of. So that solar's that little bit of electricity enough to run a fridge and freezer, maybe not air conditioning or anything. And my own land in case, my God, what if I have to go back to farming? To feed just me, I can probably hand tool land. I wouldn't even need a tractor or a mule to pull a plow. It might be all I do all for the rest of my time is growing and planting and weeding enough. And that's my full-time job to feed myself. But they did it 100 years ago, by God. I do it today. But when you're young, prepare for your future. And your future is not women. It might be, maybe, but maybe not. And if you spend all your time in your life chasing these kind of women, all they do is become an anchor around your neck and they will drown you. You need to be fully independent and in a good place so that you don't have to worry if all you can find is women like this. You just go, hey, you know what? Yeah, I am single, not lonely. I got a dog, I got friends, I got community, I got, you better plan for that. Let's see. Cactus Jack, Arizona, AZ says cities are for businesses and spicy life. Cities are for business and, okay, I got you. Cities are for business and sex. Live rural, Ben Franklin. Yeah, exactly. Igozi went on to boast about the exorbitant prices she's able to charge and the flexibility such an occupation provides. I charge exorbitant amounts. I have no problem taking rejections from those that don't want to pay it because I charge what emotional labor is required right into the fee. I price you for my future mental health. That's what she's saying. This is a bad thing and it doesn't make me happy, but if I get enough money, I'm happy. So I make sure to charge a lot so I'm okay with this when I sleep at night. I set and hold boundaries and engage only in ways that are safe, playful, abundant for me. I don't waste my time with anything less. Why is this different than any other client work she wrote? The answer is to come to again and again is that it isn't. The post published last month has garnered over 10,000 likes and nearly 2,000 comments. However, not all the replies were completely on board with this type of work, included on the professional platform. Someone said, I'm an early user of LinkedIn, one of the first 500 people to post a job. One commenter wrote on Igozi's announcement. I have watched the trend of oversharing and posting highly personal matters and never commented. This, my friends, has crossed the line. This is not what LinkedIn is intended for. It is way too much information and belongs on a different site unless you're in certain parts of Nevada. And that's where they have the bunny ranches and stuff. It isn't even illegal in the US. You don't need to put every job on your profile. Some jobs will not boost your career. Some other users commented they have reported the post to LinkedIn for solicitation of spicy services. But this is where we are, where now it's okay to shame women for becoming moms, shame women for being a traditional wife, shame women for cooking for their man and cleaning the home and doing laundry and just being a good at home caretaker while he brings in the bread. We've come to a place where it's okay to shame that kind of work, but hey, let's just promote the spicy stuff. That's much less shameful. The good news is these people are not having kids at the same rate that conservative or maybe more liberal minded people are. They're not having kids at the same rate. They're eventually going to make themselves extinct. That's why they want to come after your kids in the schools instead of having their own, because they don't have their own.